On today's episode, I interview Adrian Day from Tyndall's Electrical in Auckland, who is a member of the $1 Million Tradie program and has built an incredible business in a short period of time. Now, Adrian is a highly motivated operator who, once he got the right business tools, turned a tough situation into a winning one. Now, Adrian's story is inspirational and it shows what can be built with the right knowledge, support, and action. You don't want to miss this episode if you're determined to make changes to improve your business and you don't know where to start. Alrighty, we've arrived at the podcast. Tony Fraser-Jones here, your host, and they say success leaves clues. And on today's episode of the PT podcast, I interview Adrian Day from Tyndall's Electrical. Welcome, Adrian. Good to have you here.
Thanks, mate. Absolute pleasure, Tony.
Excited to have you in the studio as well, so we're going to have a good time. Now, mate, I was going back through the notes of when you joined the $1 Million Tradie program, and it makes some interesting reading. So it was in October, I think, 2022. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one, mate. I remember it very clearly.
Yep. So you'd been in business for about 18 months, but business was giving you a pretty tough time. I think you said it was 18 months of hell. You're still living, which is good. You're still standing up, so that's good. And monthly revenue was, I think, around $55K a month, something like that. You were working crazy hours, and the stress levels were way up, and the cash and the profits were not there. It was a pretty tough time, right?
Yeah, no, it was a super tough time, and maybe not all 18 months were hell, but plenty of them were.
There was some
plenty
hell
of them
in there.
were. There was a lot of hell in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you say revenue is around 55K. It was swinging like anywhere between 30 and 60K a month.
Yeah.
I didn't really know why. Just the hours I was putting in seemed to be the same, which was just stupid amounts. I was getting home late. Sometimes I was lucky enough to get home in time to put Ollie into bed, our son. Other times wouldn't even make it home in time for his bedtime. And then I was back on the computer anyway. Sarah, my wife, was pulling her bloody hair out. Like, she didn't know what to tell Ollie, if he was going to see me that day or not. Man, it was a show, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. How old was Ollie then? He's pretty young, right?
Yeah, he would have been 2 then.
Yeah.
So he was pretty much bang on 2 when I joined PT. I think the other big thing is I just didn't even know what I wanted from the business. I had no goals for the business. I just thought, like, if I kept working harder and harder, eventually it'll fall into place.
Which is what I think a lot of people think, right? It's like, just grind it out.
Yeah.
Things will come right.
Yeah, it's a Kiwi mentality, right? Like,
it is.
I think work hard and it all will go right. But, like, sometimes that's right, but in business there's so much more to it than that.
Well, I think in business you do have to work hard. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you can't escape the hard work.
Yeah.
But you can change how you do it.
Yeah. And I think something else you've sort of pointed at there is when you're a contractor or a tradie, we're used to doing stuff with our hands. We get in there and doing stuff, and we know about hard work, and that's kind of what we know. And I think the trap we fall into often is we just do more of that and things should come right.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't.
It doesn't really,
No.
because it kind of recycles the same crap.
That's it. Yeah. All you're doing is exactly that, recycling over and over and expecting to get something better out of it.
Yeah. Well, they say, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been a bit insane in business before. What I'd love to do, Adrian, is can you tell me about how you felt about life and business when you're in that situation?
Yeah. It was miserable, man. Like, it got to the point, and this was what happened in October, where I was just going to pull the pin. It was I was just getting by, like, financially, as in personally financially, but it was not sustainable. Like, the hours were huge, the stress on the family was huge, stress on my mental health was huge. Like, there was no reward for what I was putting in. Really, I could have been out making a wage and probably doing better, working half as much.
Yeah, I think that stress thing is massive, isn't it? Because we tend to suffer in silence, or we think we're the only person who's going through this. It's quite isolating sometimes, that sort of situation.
Yeah, you do. You feel really alone, and often is not talked about at all anyway in the trades, But that thing of asking for help, whether it's from your team, your coaches, your family, it's such a big thing, and it feels just so foreign and alien, trying to get into the zone of actually asking for help and saying, I don't know how to do this, that's a hard thing to.
It is a hard thing to do. It is.
Yeah.
It's a real hard thing too, because it's basically saying to yourself as, hey, I don't know, and it's almost admitting that you don't know. Well, I think for a lot of us, it's like, well, I'm actually not good enough. I'm like,
Yeah, there's
I'm
a
not
lot of self-doubt
Yeah,
around
there
it,
is
right?
massive. I think we've all felt that, and it's difficult to come face to face to
Yeah.
with that.
Yep.
So tough times. Can you tell us about how the business looks now? So what are the changes you've seen? Where are you at now with the business?
Yeah.
It's a little different.
A big difference, yeah. So revenue-wise, a typical month is sort of 200K. The last 3 months have been a little different to that. We've cracked 800K each of the last 3 months in revenue. We've got a team of 13 at the moment. We've got 8 full-time on the tools, 3 project managers, team leaders that look after our 3 key revenue streams, office manager, estimator, and myself. Structure-wise, we've played around with a few different setups and really comfortably settled in now to what we're finding works exceptionally well for us, which is sort of splitting up those 3 revenue streams a bit and having a team lead or project manager for those. Getting that estimator in there was an absolute game changer for us and for me particularly. I think the biggest change, to be honest, though, is my role. A lot of people now are like, what the hell do you actually do? If you're not pricing and you're not doing the work, what are you doing? But I think like a really important thing is that like once you recognise that growth is an important part of the business, like you need to keep that growth going, and you have an obligation to your team to keep that growth going, to keep providing them opportunities. So that's really where my focus has shifted to. So marketing, getting lumpy mail out and things like that, and thinking of the next builders and commercial construction companies to approach with that. But also just supporting the team, supporting my key team members so that they can support their team members, and everyone's getting what they need, and just looking ahead a bit too, rather than just being stuck in the moment. That's big. Like I think a part of a big reason why in the early days our revenue was so up and down was I just got trapped in doing the work, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got no work, and so it plummets, and then you're like, all right, hustle, try and get the work, and then you're back to it's that constant roller coaster. So that's really smoothed that out with me being able to look ahead and plan for, okay, well, this is what's happening now. This is what we need. Where are we gonna look for that? Profitability as well. Like this is such a big thing. Is just having like a consistent profitability. Revenue's great, but it doesn't mean anything if there's no profit in it, right? So we've got like a GP of 35 to 40%, depending on the portion of large project work we got at the time, and just that consistency is way up, right? There's still the odd blip, but it just continues to improve month to month.
So great results, and I love what you've said about you're actually looking forward and where you're heading with the business, and that busting through that roller coaster income thing, because I think that's a big problem for a lot of people, and a lot of guys listening is you work really hard getting jobs done, and then you just don't have the time, or the business doesn't have the capacity to price work and get stuff happening, and you wonder why things don't grow. And it's almost a hidden problem.
Yeah.
Like you don't recognise that that's a problem.
Yeah, it's hard to see that.
It's hard to see that.
Yeah.
And really that lack of capacity really, I guess hamstrings your growth. One thing I'd love to just talk about is, how do you feel about the business now? Yeah, how do you feel about it relative to how you did back then?
I guess the biggest thing is I'm proud of it, man. It's a thing that I wanna share, and I want to put out there and say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we've done, this is where we're going, and I just enjoy it. I actually really like it. I love what I do. Like it gives me that perfect balance between enjoying my day to day and then just getting to cruise out and enjoy time with the family.
Adrian, you alluded to some of the key growth points. So can you talk us through some of the big stages in that growth journey, like from sort of around 50K in revenue to consistently 200, now hitting sort of some pretty big numbers the last 3 months. It's starting to sound like an average, a new one, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key points, the key stop-off points that have really led to that growth?
Yeah, so I think just before joining PT in August 22 was when we hired our first tradesman. We'd had an apprentice before that, which was a bit of a learning experience. But our first tradesman we hired, Jacob, he's still with us now. He's our residential projects manager. but it just instantly meant that I didn't need to try and be everywhere at once. It doubled our capacity overnight. I remember being scared. So bloody scared that like I was going to hire this dude and either it would be a complete balls up or we'd run out of work or, all these things that you go through in your head. But it's been amazing. He's still with us. He's an absolute legend, and he runs an amazing team. The next key hire was our office manager, who we hired in May 23.
Yeah.
Again, I thought, it's we don't want to spend too much. We've got someone 2 days a week, and very quickly realised that was a dumb move. Like we needed someone full time, and now, so there was a little bit of back and forth. She had younger kids, so it wasn't an instant thing. But Julie, our office manager, has been with us full time for a while now, and mate, like my life is just markedly better because of her presence there.
Let's dig into that. So how does that? Because this is a big mindset thing. Is like, hey, I'm putting this person in, I'm paying them for 40 hours a week, and they're not actually generating revenue.
Right.
They're an overhead like that. So how have they made your life easier? What do they pick up? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that Julie started doing when she was just 2 days a week was just keeping everything tidier and information available. She took over back costing, which wasn't really happening very consistently before that.
Yep.
And it was just fastidious, and it was happening as and when it needed to. And I just had the results there in front of me of that. I could see what was going on. So it was having that information available was really the early stages of what she provided for me, and it just saved me so many headaches because we could see these trends and see what we were trying to dodge, and so quickly. Whereas if it'd wait for me to do it, it might be 2 months later that I'm actually back costing, and at that point it's pretty useless. If at all, yeah. That's right, yeah. These days it's I'm not answering phone calls and that sort of thing. Everything's going through the office, and my phone was just mad. Then like 70-80 phone calls a day a lot of the time, and text messages, emails, and all this stuff. And it was. So there was a sort of a 6-month period where she just was continually taking more and more off my plate, and you don't really appreciate how much of that stuff you can hand over to the right person.
It's killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So office manager. So what was the next big milestone?
So the next big milestone was ops manager in January this year. It wasn't perfect. We made the classic mistake of just promoting a tradesman and expecting it to work. Dean, who was our ops manager, then sort of migrated a little bit from there, and he leads our service and maintenance team now. A few reasons it didn't work, I guess, was because I just chucked him in there and expected it to work, which is obviously not going to. Also didn't really know what I actually wanted from the role.
Yep.
So that was a little bit of flailing around for a few months until we actually figured out, A, that it wasn't working, and B, what we needed to do to make it work.
And how does an ops manager change things for you?
Oh, mate, it's absolutely incredible. Like, the amount on my plate halved instantly. Looking after operations is such a bloody big task, and it's like a constant juggling act. You can't do that and try and price and try and grow the business. It's not sustainable.
I think this is a big thing, because to really get good margins from your work, to do quality work, operations needs to be strong. You have to have someone. It's like someone with their hand on the tiller all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to shift schedules around and make sure materials are there and organise clients. And this is like lots of moving parts all day.
Yep.
All day. That's what it is.
Oh, mate, really is.
I think the thing that I've seen is that when you're in that kind of planning, reactive sort of, it's a bit firefighting as well, mode, your brain is in a different place. It's very difficult to then go to that kind of growth-orientated place of like, hey, I need to go and do proactive stuff.
Yeah.
Did you find that? Like, it's quite a different mindset.
Yeah. But like before having an ops manager involved, and even in the earlier days when it wasn't perfectly smoothly, not any fault of Dean's really, it was just the way we'd set it up and the lack of support I gave him. But even when it wasn't running smoothly, it was still removing that like urgent firefighting stuff off my plate. And the change was big. Like before that, I definitely struggled to stay proactive and keep looking forwards at times, because you do just get sucked back into jump in here, jump in there, wherever's the loudest screams coming from, wherever the biggest fire is. So yeah, that was
Massive.
It was huge.
Yeah. And so next stage on the journey that's really helped with the growth?
June this year, we hired our estimator, Ryan, and we also implemented our changes to our organisational structure. So that was when we changed to having the 3 project manager team leaders of the 3 key revenue areas. Those sort of worked really well hand in hand, introducing Ryan, pricing, the work that the 2 project managers are going to do in residential and commercial projects that was bloody great.
Let's talk about the estimator, because it's a bit of a mind bend for a lot of people. Is like, I'm giving away pricing. What if they bugger it up? I guess, how did you know you needed someone, and what have you done, and how has it changed things?
Yeah, it's the hardest thing I've had to let go of. Yeah, bloody scary. Like if something gets buggered up on a job, it's usually not a massive one. You've got insurance if it really hits the fan. If a price gets buggered up, you can really be up the creek.
Yeah.
So that was a big mindset shift that was needed there. We had a great situation with Ryan. He was actually a contractor to us for about 9 months before he came on board. Getting to know him in that time, it was, I think that an estimator, you need to hire for the person and train them in the skill sets. Ryan's actually a shitload more experienced than I am anyway. He's been in the industry a lot longer and priced a lot more big projects than I have. So it's been an interesting learning experience for me too. But look, I think that if you don't use that fear of hiring that position to motivate you to grow further, you're just going to get stuck in a rut, eh?
Yeah, and I think the thing with the estimator is if you want to grow, you need work, you need revenue.
Yeah.
And so many businesses, as they grow, they struggle to even have price enough work to feed the people they've got now.
Yep.
Let alone grow the business.
That's it. We were in exactly that position, and my time was just getting more and more and more sucked up in pricing. And I'd spend 80+% of my time pricing. So what do you have time left for? I wasn't going back to doing 80, 90 hours a week, so it just meant we stalled. Yeah, there wasn't really an option, to be fair. It was just a case of finding the right person for it.
Yeah, killer. Can you talk us through how these results, what they've actually meant for you and your family?
So this is one of the biggest things, right? It's, I guess, probably why we think we're getting into business in the first instance for what a lot of these results are. The biggest thing is, as we were just talking about before starting this, I took my first truly uninterrupted family holiday, zero phone. We went away to Samoa for a week. Phone didn't even work, so just chucked it in the safe and forgot about it. And I knew I didn't even need to worry because the team were there. They all knew what they needed to do. If something arose, I knew they'd be able to sort it. That was gold. Having that pure week of uninterrupted time with the family. The change in the kids, especially in Ollie, our son, who's 4.5 now. It was incredible seeing the shift in his behaviour and that, with uninterrupted focus from both Sarah and I. It was amazing. It was so heartwarming to see.
It's killer, man. So you've had your second child relatively recently, Chloe.
Yep.
So how was things different when she was born relative to, say, when Ollie was young?
Yeah, so, it was definitely an improvement, and I don't think I could have continued with the business if it was prior to starting with PT and Chloe was born. It would have turned to custard completely. I think when Chloe was born, we were about a team of 6. Most things were still running through me, so there was still a lot of forward planning that needed to happen. Had to think about what projects were coming up, had to think about who was going to be doing it, making sure we had everything lined up and letting key clients know that I'd be disappearing for a bit. The plus side of that was it was probably the time also that I realised I needed help on the ops side of things. So it ignited that search for an ops manager. Regardless of all that, though, I still managed to get a great 2 weeks at home, not too many disruptions, and that was just invaluable time.
You've actually touched on something there that's kind of interesting, and I've done it myself, and I know a lot of our members have. When you take an extended break from your business, it's for your benefit, obviously, but sometimes it's really for the business's benefit, because if you're not there, you can actually see what actually breaks and what actually is totally reliant on you. But if you're always there plugging the gaps, you never actually realise that.
No, it's almost subconscious.
It's
You
subconscious.
Just jump in and
you
do
just
it.
jump in and do it.
Yeah.
And you don't realise all these little energy drains and things that you've got to, all the balls you've got to juggle. You just sort of do it because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
It's just we get so conditioned to it. So I think, sometimes like you did with having a child being born, but even if you just do it, schedule 4 weeks out of your business and just see what happens.
Yeah.
See where it breaks, then you know what you need to fix.
Yeah.
And I know that's frightening. It's like, I don't want anything to break. But, newsflash, if you want your business to grow, some shit's going to break. If it doesn't break, you're probably not trying stuff hard enough.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think not just about today and the next few weeks. You've got to think about, the 10 months, 20 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the track of the sort of thing you're trying to create. So I think it's a little nugget in that as well.
Yeah.
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 Hey, man, what do you do for fun?
I love the water, so boating is a big thing, and that was probably something that I forgot to mention in some of the things that the growth of the business has achieved me is buying a boat. A little while after starting Tyndall's with a young kid and a business which was absorbing all my time, we sold our boat, which was pretty heartbreaking for me. So we bought a boat at the start of last summer. And had the kids out on it a few times. And yeah, it's just been amazing seeing them getting to love the water as well, and bringing them up around the water. So yeah, fishing, like Ollie, our son's been out fishing with me a few times. He probably likes the food more than the fishing, but that's all good as long as he's there and he's happy. I'm happy.
You take a little snack pack with them.
Yeah,
mate,
they love
a
big snack pack. The bigger the snack pack, the longer we stay
that's
out.
That's right. I know. I hear you, buddy.
Yeah. Another big one for me, which I've recently got back into after managing to get the business in better shape, is home brewing. I'm a bit of a nerd. I trained as a pilot out of school. Studied winemaking as well. So like science is quite a big part of me, and I love getting technical and automating different processes and trying different yeasts and things like that. So and the plus side is you get some beer out the back end of it too.
Yeah, look, you were pretty technical in the last boot camp we had together. Adam got pretty technical, pretty loose at times as well.
Oh, look, it's got to be done now and then. Yeah, exactly. Blow off some steam. I recently also, this is probably my favourite thing of late, got into barbecue, like proper American charcoal barbecue. And I just, I love it. You kick around on the deck all day and just hang out by the barbecue and crack a beer in the arbour, and the kids are there, and yeah, it makes for a cruisy, enjoyable day. Yeah, good time. And a mean feed out the back.
It's good times. So, mate, you've done some cool stuff. You've made lots of changes, and I think you should be really proud of what you've done, and it's been cool watching. I thought we could just focus on a few of the things that have made a really huge difference, and maybe dig into the learnings that might be helpful for the listeners as well.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, you've made some really big gains in revenue, and since we started working together, you've it's blown up, man, which is awesome. So I'd love to know, what have been the drivers of that revenue growth?
There's a few things, but marketing is probably the biggest thing. It's funny, Sarah's background is in marketing, and she was always on my case. Oh, we need to do something. You need to start marketing. I was like, no way. Like, I'm working 80 hours a week. If we market, I can't do any more. So it took me a while to get my head around that. But I mean, that's key, right? Like, lumpy mail with a proper follow-up process. Like, we've secured work with some great builders from that, and we're starting now to see some really good results from Google ads and social media and things as well. So that's been big. The other big change is capacity and I guess hiring our team. The mindset shift around that. You can't and shouldn't do everything in the business. So letting go of those things and letting people who are probably better at it than you do those things for you.
How has that helped the revenue growth?
I guess a number of things. One, because it's freed up my time to focus on growth. But if you put someone into a position to do something and they're better at it than you, they're going to get it done more efficiently. They get a better end result. let's be honest, like when I was on the tools full time, I probably had the most callbacks out of anyone because I was trying to juggle other shit as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for letting go and letting your team, truly do their job and do what you've hired them to do. Not getting over that, you'll never get over the fear of hiring, I don't think, but what you do with it. I still get scared every time we hire someone else, but what it does to me now is kicks me into that growth mindset again. It goes, okay, well, we're hiring, all we need is more revenue. We need to look for the next opportunity, grow further. How are we going to do that?
Man, that's so important because this is the conundrum people face is like, oh, well, shall I hire people when I have the work? But it doesn't work that way. It's the same as like going to the gym, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I want to go. I want the muscles, but the only way to get the muscles is to put them under pressure and put them under tension, and that's what we do when we hire people. We create the vacuum.
Yep.
We have to make this work. We have to figure out how to make it work, and that's actually how things work.
Yeah,
and that's how you develop the skills.
Yep.
So actually putting things under pressure, and then the marketing muscle, the sales muscle actually develops. So that's a pretty good insight there, bro. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, cheers.
Any other things that have been instrumental there in helping that revenue growth?
Yeah, look, there's actually a shitload of areas, and I could waffle on about it all day. I think that just keeping a really open mind and exploring options is really key. Like when I was in the earlier stages of the business, like I just thought, okay, we're gonna do residential project, new builds and renos, and that's basically it, right? I don't want to stretch myself into thinking about all this other stuff. It was almost to the point of turning down various opportunities because that was I had that sort of tunnel vision of that was all I could do and could do well. So keeping an open mind to that and exploring these options, and then realizing, if we're going to do something that I don't know how to do, the only thing we have to do is hire someone who does know how to do it. So we've started doing that, and it's fantastic. We're at the moment finishing up a huge commercial project, and a lot of the work the guys are doing there I've never done before, but we've got an absolutely stellar team in there that this is what their background is, and they do it amazingly.
What would you say to guys who are listening who are sort of stuck, really want to grow their revenue? Where should they start? What would your advice to them be?
I think I sort of touched on it a little bit before, but there's always going to be an element of fear in trying something new. The big thing for me was using this fear to motivate you. And what I've found is that the more it scares me, the more impact it's probably going to have on the business. And I use that as my driver. I use that. I get hungry for the next challenge. I seek out the next challenge, the areas that we want to grow into. And yeah, I found generally the harder something seems or the scarier it seems, the greater the reward's going to be out the back of it. It's all just the mindset shift around that.
So powerful. And we do get held back by fear so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the growth, as you said, is always in the uncomfortableness.
Yeah,
100%. Love that. So you've done a lot of work on profitability and cash flow and all that sort of stuff. So let's have a look at that. What did you actually do to improve the profitability and the cash flow? What's worked really well?
Before starting with PT, I didn't even know what GP margin was. I'd look at my profit and loss and look at some figures and think, oh, it looks all right, yeah, but don't have any money. So we started by actually just understanding what these different figures meant, how they were derived, and then we started measuring them. So back costing, is a big thing we cover in Profitable Tradie, right? And it's such an important thing and such a key thing to get your head around and to be constantly looking at. So yeah, back costing is basically the way we assess everything job related. We're looking at our actuals versus our quoted of labour and materials, looking at our GP margins, GP dollars per hour. And once you've started looking at this stuff and you're understanding it, then you're able to actually go away and set some targets. You can understand the different markets or niches that you're working in and price accordingly for those. We were way overpricing some work, underpricing others because we didn't actually look at or understand the market that we were pricing for and what we needed as a business to shoot for. I think that a big thing in improving profitability is a bit of a weird one, and that's in the clients you work with. Some some clients just aren't a good fit for you, and you're probably doing a disservice to yourself and them by sticking it out with them. So a few clients we ditched as well, and it was a weird thing and a hard thing to do, but it was by far the best thing to do for us and actually for them too.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the bottom 20% of the clients take up all the time and effort and the hassle.
Yep.
So those clients that you gave the Dear John to, don't come back. What were some of the characteristics of those clients?
It's funny.
Without naming and shaming.
Yeah,
we can if we want to. Yeah.
No, I won't name and shame, but I think that you say about the bottom 20% of the clients taking up the bulk of the time. A lot of it was a consistent trend of a lack of organisation, and those last minute calls. Hey, we're going to need this done, and trying to shuffle the schedules and things around them. Like the time chewed up by someone with your schedule like that is phenomenal, and the stress it puts on you is massive. And just getting that off your plate is such a relief, but it's also so great for the business.
Unbelievable headspace lift as well, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. You do start to feel trapped before that, and when you make that mindset shift and go, no, you know what, we don't have to work with them. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, and there's something really subconscious going on here as well, because often we'll stick with clients because there's some sort of weird power thing going on. It's like we almost feel like we need them because we need the revenue, or we need them to keep the team busy.
Yeah, throwing away revenue as it felt like, the first time is a bloody hard thing to do. But when you actually consider the bigger picture, you're not throwing away revenue at all, right? Because you're freeing yourself up from this massive drain on resources, and you can put those resources where they're better utilised.
Yeah, which is, I guess, where the marketing and stuff comes in, because you've actually got the opportunity to redirect those tradespeople or tech hours to work that's actually going to make good money. It's not a hassle.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So opportunity cost is huge. No, that's killer. So let's talk about time and your effectiveness in getting time under control. So I think you've done some good stuff here. So what do you do differently here now relative to what you were doing? What's made this more manageable?
Yeah, the first thing on that when starting with Profitable Tradie was doing the time productivity analysis. It's amazing. You don't actually realise what you're spending your time on, or a lot of your time on anyway. And the amount of time that was just wasted, and had me running around in circles was phenomenal. So just actually seeing that and recognising that was such a powerful starting point. And then off the back of that, building the default calendar. And I was on the way down, I was listening to Atomic Habits. And he's saying, time and location are the two most powerful triggers for a habit. So building that default calendar out was unbeknownst to me at the time, actually just the most powerful thing to do, right? You're saying, okay, at this time, I'm going to be at this place doing this thing. And it's such a great starting point for building that habit and stopping that just running around in circles, chasing your tail motion. Yeah,
that's a killer, right? And default calendar, can you just describe what that actually is?
Yeah, so default calendar, I guess you're looking at your key actions or tasks throughout the weeks, what we'd refer to as your big rocks, and allocating time throughout your week for that. You're basically making sure that the key task functions in your business are happening each week without getting dragged away from it. I think that one of the big things that stopped for me was just that constant, yep, I'll be there every time the phone rang. It made things considered. Sorry, I can't do that time. I've got this time or this time. You make your time what you want it to be. Everyone says, I don't have time for that. But such a big thing for me was realising, and probably almost more having it drummed into me, that everyone's got the same 24 hours in the day. There isn't I don't have time for that. There's only I'm choosing to spend my time elsewhere. So once you realise that, it makes it so much easier to say, hey, no, I can't actually just go jumping from here to there to everywhere. I need to do what my business needs me to do.
It's killer. I love talking business because I've been through a similar process in the last few days, a little bit of calendar chaos, and I even found myself a coach this right. It's like, I'm a bit pushed for time. It's like, hang on.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm making some choices here, and I need to actually change some stuff because my calendar's not getting any bigger.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's making it click that you need to change something if you feel you don't have time.
You don't wish you had more time.
Yeah,
It's kind of
it's
like
not going to happen.
trying to defy the laws of nature and gravity.
Yeah.
It's a great insight, that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the operations of the
Yeah,
business. Obviously,
cool.
that was a game changer. How did you know when it was time to get an operations manager to help?
I mentioned earlier, like when Chloe was born was probably the first time that it crossed my mind. Took me another 6 months from there to actually do something about it. The big things was I was just losing track of what jobs we had on, where they were at. I was trying to juggle so many things in my head. There's just shit was coming in from all directions. And yeah, when Chloe was born, it just dawned on me that we couldn't keep doing that, right? It was only going to go one way, and that was down.
What were your reservations about hiring an ops manager?
Financial. Man, the financial, like outlaying that salary for an ops manager and getting no immediate financial return out of it made it 10 times scarier than hiring a tradesman.
Because you couldn't see the revenue generated?
Yeah, that's it. You don't immediately see, okay, I hire a tradesman, we'll see X amount of revenue generated. I hire an ops manager, dead end. But really, when you dig into it, and with your guys' help, I did, that's far from the truth, right?
I mean, how did it pan out results-wise?
The urgent day-to-day actions got taken off my plate, which meant that instantly I could shift my focus and look towards growth and next opportunities. Also, I wasn't trying to juggle everything else in the business with that. Rather, Dean wasn't trying to juggle everything else in the business with that. That was his focus. So even though I didn't really support him well in that role or train him well in that role, he took it on his chin and he did a pretty phenomenal job, really, considering, and our efficiency and labour utilisation was still well on the up, after filling that role.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing with the ops manager is, as the owner, you get to a certain point, you actually start doing a bad job of ops.
Oh, 100%.
Your margins start falling, the clients get upset, the guys aren't organised, there's a bit of chaos running around, and so often you get the ops in and actually your margins improve, the organisation is better because you've got a single focus on it.
Yeah.
And often they pay for themselves just through the recoup of the profitability on jobs.
Yep.
As well. So I think that's something we've certainly noticed, and I know a lot of you guys have experienced that. Do you think you would get to having 800k months without that person, without that role?
No way. You couldn't do it. The change for me is that I'm so much more relaxed, I've got so much more clarity because I don't have that urgent firefighting stuff coming flying at me from all directions. You can't continue to grow the business, right, with all that stuff there. No, I mean, just trying to land a job of the size that has gotten us to that revenue growth, you can't do that while you're trying to manage ops as well. You're going to make mistakes and big mistakes.
Yeah. What would you say to people who are listening who find themselves in the situation where they've got a bunch of blokes or guys running around out in the field and they probably know they need some help with operations? What would you say to those guys who are procrastinating on hiring this type of person, this type of role?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say is probably look at what you want from the role. Look at what you need from it, what you need in order to get the ops side of things running smoother. You really need to find the person for this role. Promoting a tradesman isn't always the best answer. There's, I guess, a couple of trip-ups that we saw with hiring a tradesman. You tend to promote one of your best tradesmen, right? And so you lose that capacity there, and being a great tradesman doesn't necessarily make you a great operations manager. Probably the biggest thing is that the financial outlay is just so quickly recovered in increases in efficiency and labour utilisation. The fear there is really hard to overcome because it's such a large month-to-month, OPEX expense. But you will see huge improvements. You just need to support that person to get them to the point where they can manage it, and they will manage it so much better than you did, right? They've got the time and the focus to do it. The other big thing is it just gives you the ability to realign your focus, and that's such a catalyst for growth.
Massive. There's a lot of mindset stuff that we've touched on.
Yeah.
A lot of headspace stuff. And the mental and the emotional game of business is a huge part of success. So what have been, what do you do to actually keep your mental and emotional energy good so you can tackle all the challenges of running the business?
Yeah, I mean, mental health and mental challenges, big business or not, right? And prior to getting into business, I struggled with mental health, and it's not a fun place to be. Running a business like I was in the early days is just hugely taxing mentally and emotionally. So some of the biggest changes I've made, I think, is around structuring my time, as we spoke about before, with default calendars. The absolute biggest thing is asking for help and surrounding yourself with the right people. So that's your team, your coaches, your family. Don't try and overcome every hurdle on your own. You can't. The weight just keeps building, right? And whether you notice it or not, the people around you do, and they feel it. The tax it has on your relationships. It's
the business owner comes into the house with a cloud over their head, and everyone flipping gets the shade, right?
Yeah. There used to be some big storm clouds follow me in, man. Yeah.
Everyone's like scattered to all parts of the house, and
Yeah.
I definitely see that.
Yeah. One other last thing there is just taking some time to myself. I'm naturally pretty introverted, so just getting some time to myself is key. Like that's how I really re-energize and refocus.
Killer. And in terms of mindset changes, what have you had to do to achieve the success you've had?
That mindset shift around everyone has that same 24-hour block, and it's just how you choose to use it. Building a default calendar around that was massive. That was actually going, okay, well, I'm going to allocate this time to the business, and I'm going to allocate this time to myself and this time to the family. It's a powerful feeling too. Actually having, the making the choices and having control of how your time's spent.
Yeah, that's the huge thing, right? I think what you've said there about control is when you're stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, you feel out of control. And I think for us as business owners, often we feel out of control that someone else is dictating the terms in our life. And as soon as we actually do something to say, no, we're in control, it's funny, the situation doesn't change, but our feeling about it and our experience of it is a completely different thing.
Yeah, I had to laugh a bit there. Prior to starting with Profitable Tradie, like I think I felt like my clients were in control of my life, and dictating what I did. The phone rang, and I jumped and said yes, and it felt like they were controlling my life, and just with that mindset shift, that completely changed.
Yeah, it's awesome.
A couple of other mindset shifts is it's okay to make money. It's a weird one, eh? Like such a big thing that people do is just pricing work out of their own pocket because they feel like they're ripping people off. But I think just recognizing that you are in business to make money. I think there's also just a common misconception that making money means you're shafting people, and that just isn't true. It can't be true. If you were shafting people, people wouldn't use your services, right? You're providing value and you're charging accordingly.
That's a bit of a mic drop moment right there. To wire a house when you're a sparky or an electrician is easy, really. And you think, well, why would anyone pay for that?
Yeah.
Well, why would they pay that for that? But it's not easy to them. It's completely foreign. They don't know.
Yep.
And so it's valuable.
Yeah. I when I started to realise that, I thought back to when I was first an apprentice, and the first day on site we were running feeds in an apartment renovation, and tradesmen saying, pull this cable from there to there. Man, I had no clue what that cable was for, what it was doing, nothing. you got to look back to that and realize, the people you're working for, that's the position they're in. They need someone who knows what they're doing to help them through that journey.
Make sure their house isn't going to burn down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually
and
quite
everything's
valuable.
actually going to work. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mindset change that had to come out the back of that first 18 months of pretty shitty times was just that business can actually be a source of huge fun and excitement, as well as financial stability and freedom. A thing that's been pretty awesome has been like learning to work in your genius zone. So finding the things that you're good at and actually love doing and tailoring your business so that that's where you're working. Mate, it's made my days so enjoyable.
I can see you smiling now.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And the cool thing about owning a business is you get to make the racetrack. Like you can do it how you want.
Exactly.
Which is I know a lot of people listening probably don't feel like that, but you 100% can do that.
Mate, 18 months, 2 years ago, I sure as hell didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
I think that, with a bit of guidance and the right decisions and some hard work, you get the opportunity to build that and make it what you want it to be.
Amazing. So how important has been getting outside help for you to get the results that you have?
Before joining Profitable Tradie, I was going to walk away. I was 100% ready to. I was looking for jobs, trying to figure out with Sarah how to make it work with wrapping up the business and starting a job. And thankfully, one of your ads came along, mate, on Facebook.
Look out for those ads, eh?
Sarah,
got a lot to answer for.
Mate, I know, yeah. And we had a chat with John, good old John Duran, and that was honestly like a life-changing moment, right? I mean, the change in 2 years is completely it's mind-blowing sometimes, and it's there's a lot of pride in looking back.
Yeah, you've done a great job, man. What have you valued most about the help you've received?
There's a few things. So one, just the fact that it's given me that time back to spend with my family, and some time to myself. Yeah, the whole 24 hours a day thing, right? You don't value that until you use it well, I think. And now I really value every hour of every day, and what I choose to do with it. Sometimes accountability is the biggest thing out of coaching and the wider Profitable Tradie group. You do get stuck in ruts, and you do need to kick up the arse. And having someone there to do it and check in on you is huge, If you get stuck in a rut and you just sit there, you're sitting there. If you get someone go, hey man, you were going to have that done now, is that done? Even though you're a little slower doing it, it gets the ball rolling, and sometimes that's just what you need. The other beautiful thing out of it is just some financial stability. I pay myself a nice salary now, and there's some profit in the business. Sarah's delayed returning to work after Chloe was born, so Chloe's 14 months old now, and apart from just doing some marketing work for Tyndall's and bits and bobs, she hasn't gone back to work, which is awesome. It's great for us as a family and really awesome for the kids. Yeah, I think that getting the understanding of our financials, and actually like using this to tailor the work that we're choosing to do has been such a fantastic feeling. Like it means that we are doing projects and work that we want to be involved in, that we know are going to be financially successful for the business, and it just fills you with this sense of almost relaxation. It gives you this calm feeling about it. It's just magic.
It's a great feeling. You feel calm and you feel kind of peaceful about where things are at.
Yeah, peaceful's perfect. That's exactly the word I was looking for.
Which I think is not something we often feel in business. So, man, this is it's been cool. There's a lot of great learnings here, and I guess I just want to say congratulations for you've put the effort in and you've got some great results, which I think you thoroughly deserve.
Thanks.
But the best is yet to come as well for your business. Like there's some really cool times ahead. So I'm going to be really excited to see where you take this, because I think you'll be amazed with where this can go for you as well.
Yeah, I think that like now in business, I'm always just excited for the future. It's awesome, eh? Like that things just continue to get better, continue to grow, continue to improve.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Great chat today, man. Really appreciate you coming in, and can't wait to see where this all lands.
Yeah, cheers, Tony. Thanks for having me here, mate.
Awesome, man. Congratulations on being part of a select group of savvy business owners who are taking their businesses to the next level. And to help you on your journey, don't forget to check out our show notes for a copy of our free book, The Profitable Tradie, and other valuable resources. Thanks for being a part of this special group, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Profitable Tradie podcast.